Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Beyond the Saga, where we explore all those stories beyond the Skywalker films. I am David Cottingham with Hannah Burr. How are you, Hannah?
Doing well, and how are you?
Doing very good. We are kind of doing a backtrack, I guess, a little bit on this episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Of course, you can find us on YouTube right here with all the other Inside the Force stuff. And when we started this thing, I should have looked this up. Maybe about last summer, I think, is when
It was last
kind of
summer.
started. Yeah, okay. Our first episode was Queen's Peril, the book by E.K. Johnston. So that book was actually a sequel / prequel to the book we are going to talk about right now, which is Queen's Shadow, written by E.K. Johnston, the first of this trilogy, apparently, that's coming out. I didn't even realize it until just a few weeks ago, but a third book called Queen's Hope will be out later this year. This book, though, Queen's Shadow, was released March 5th, 2019. So it's a couple years old now, but we're going to dive into talking about that. And we'll talk about really why we're doing that later on at the end, because, there's a little connectivity we're trying to make here. Right. So anyway, Queen Shadow takes place roughly 4 years after episode 1. Queen Amidala is newly elected in episode 1. And on Naboo, the queen serves a 2-year term and can get reelected. And apparently that's what happened with Queen Amidala. She served 2 terms. So this is about 4 years after she gets done with her reign, and a new queen has been elected. So that's roughly where this takes place. As we do, as always, Hannah, overall review, what do you think about Queen's Shadow?
So I honestly liked Queen's Peril a lot more, to be honest. I think there was just so much more that you could explore. And because you had the benefit of Phantom Menace, you could see how the book showed more of a behind the scenes and gave more of a setup for that movie. Yeah. Plus, you also got to see the creation and the building of this team of handmaidens for the Queen of Naboo. And it's just an incredible team. And in this book, don't get me wrong, we still get to know Saga a lot more. We get to follow Saga and Padme. Saga on her mission, Padme on hers, so that Padme can be in 2 places at once, essentially. But even with, I'm excited to see what the third book is going to be, just because the second book that came out, but it comes before this book, in my opinion, better than this book, if that makes sense.
It does. I think the Queen with Queen's Peril, like you said, you get more into the beginning stages of the handmaidens, right? In this actually, there's a transition of handmaidens, because you're introduced to her new set of handmaidens that continue on as a senator, because that's the point of this book, right? It's I usually show the book. This is the book right here. If you're watching. Great cover, because I love, this is basically what it is. It's the transition from queen to senator. So it's a great cover. And with that, the same handmaidens aren't going with her at this point. Because we were saying off camera, is this is, this was a time when Amidala was just going to kind of go back to her normal life. But the newly elected queen has asked her to serve on the Senate as the senator from Naboo. So with that comes new responsibilities. It comes with new handmaidens. They trained 3 new ones, basically, and we are familiar with them going into episode 2, right? You've got Corday, Dorme, and Verse. And we know Corday and Dorme mainly from episode 2. I don't know if Verse was really talked about, but
I think so.
Yeah, Corday, I think, was the one that was played by Rose Byrne, who stood in for her when her and Anakin went undercover, and hid on Naboo. Dorme was, unfortunately, I might be getting them mixed up, but Dorme may be the one that unfortunately
I think
passed away on the beginning of the movie. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That alone proves the purpose of having them all have names that sound similar.
Exactly right. Actually, yes, I was wrong. So Corday was the one that was killed at the beginning. Dorme was played by Rose Byrne later in the and impersonates her later. So anyway, besides the point.
Well, it proves a point, but
it does prove a point. Yeah, because their original names were Versat, Corden, and Dora. So yes, they take the traditional May at the end, right? Which I think is, like you said, is very clever. Very clever for discreetness, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just a very clever subconscious way to help keep Padme safe.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because I do question sometimes in episode 1 when she is not the queen, she goes by Padme.
Okay, thank you, because that always confused me. Because I'm like, wait, wouldn't you know that Padme was the Queen of Naboo? Like, I know the book sort of tries to explain, and I know we're going way off topic here. I know the book tries to explain, like, how the name is still incognito, but I'm like, the people of Naboo still voted for Padme.
Well, I don't know that, though, because I feel like what I've come to kind of discover as we read as I've gone back and researched these books, at some point, I think when she was running, because her name's Padme Nabiri.
That's right.
I think she completely went by just Amidala.
Yeah. No, you're right. She totally
right. I think that's right. But the thing about it is like she grew up as Padme, so you would think there's some people that are going to be like, wait a minute, that's Padme, right? So her identity can't be completely. It's hard to imagine that it's completely secretive.
Yeah, that was more or less where because I mean, unless Padme is a very popular name on Naboo,
right?
Like you would think that Padme and Padme, are they the same? Like you would think so. Anyway, that was more or less what I was going on. Is that the first name is the same? And Star Wars universe is very good about giving everybody a new name. I don't think there are very many repeated names.
That's very true. No, that's actually true. I don't know if there is. I don't think we've come across two characters the same name.
Closest is Obi-Wan and Ben.
Yeah, what do you mean? As far as being close in name?
Close in name.
Yeah.
Old Ben.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I cannot. That is very true.
So that's why the first name always confused me. I'm like, why didn't you just change your first name too? I know she went by Amidala, but why not change your first name as well?
Yeah, that would be very interesting to actually get like another character named Han. I mean, why not? Right? Although we did get Ben Solo. Ben and Ben, right? Ben Kenobi, Ben Solo.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the only repeat.
Oh, is that what you were saying? Obi-Wan and Ben Solo. Okay, sorry. I was
saying like old Ben.
That's right.
As Luke knew him.
Yes.
Ben Solo.
Okay, so that might be the only instance of the same name in Star Wars so far. Interesting. I like that. Actually, for some reason, we're completely off topic here. Yeah. For some reason, Williff, like Williff Tarkin. I think there's another Williff somewhere. I have to look that up. Anyway, that was a deep pull.
Deep pull, but it goes back to the question of what's in a name,
right?
All that, and she still chooses to keep her name as she moves on to being a senator.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know there was one aspect of this that you really liked, which I think does stand out in the book, and it involves Sabe. What was that?
Oh, it's like Padme originally, before she was asked to go on the Senate and she wanted to go to her life, one of her main things was she was very, very touched, really, by Anakin. I mean, I don't think it ever explicitly stated in the book, Anakin influenced my decision on this, but it's very obvious that she just has this passion of freeing people, and we see that constantly in the Clone Wars. She's all about getting rid of slavery. She's that is one of the biggest things she is for. And so this book just reinforces that. And I almost wonder if Anakin was really the first domino in all of that, of her wanting to free slaves. So because she couldn't go, because, you know, she has senator duties now, she sent Sabe to go to Tatooine and try to figure out how to free the slaves on Tatooine. So
yeah, cool.
I just think that's amazing, and that just shows how big of a heart Padme was. And Sabe didn't really debate it at all. She's like, "You're my sister, absolutely. I'll go. I'll pretend to be you, and I'll go, and I'll do what I can." So, and as I said before, I think that really sets up Padme character in future places where we see her, especially in Clone Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm interested in honestly, I'm really interested in Sabe because of these books as well, and because she has shown up in future stories. So, not to give anything away, but she does show up in the Vader comic years later. But it's interesting that she's not around. Well, she is around during the Clone Wars. We know, even though she's not in like the Clone Wars series or, but she is in some additional stories that happen around that time. So she's around a lot, even though she's not one of her, like you said, not one of her handmaidens, but she is still helping her and being Padme in other parts of the galaxy, which is pretty interesting. Because that is, I think, one of the main points of this book is that it highlights how she still utilizes Sabe and the other handmaidens as like you said, to try to be in other places in the galaxy when she can't be. And it shows how tight they are and how trained they are, that they are able to pull something like that off, you know? So very interesting. Very interesting. What else, anything else that stood out?
I mean, I think once again, this book, as with several other books, really helps articulate in an engaging way the political situation. And it kind of shows also a spark in Padme, which was explained before in Queen's Peril, when she's like, I first got into this because I love politics. I want to make a difference. And then I think when she arrived as a senator, she definitely saw that she could make a difference. And the spark kind of reignited in her. So it shows how messy it is, but it also shows how clever Padme is. I think that's something that we don't necessarily give her a lot of credit for, is how smart, intelligent, and tough she is. And this book really shows it in the political scene. That was something else that stood out to me, is that you see her more in political action.
Yeah, that's very true, because I think it's such a quick read or listen. I think we both kind of mentioned it, that the next thing you know, it's over, and it felt like it was just kind of ramping up. And actually, that's the thing, is that even though this is going to sound a little weird, but it really felt like the first book in a trilogy.
Yes.
But it's weird that we go back in time in the second book, right? There's not like that continuation. Like it's continuing in a sense where it goes. It's kind of like watching episodes 4, 5, and 6 all together as one movie, and then watching the prequels, because you go back to how things got there, right? So you read this book, and then you go back and see how how important the handmaidens are and the history between that. And it kind of sets up, and maybe that's what truly sets up this third book that's coming. And as far as I can tell, I think the third book takes place during the Clone Wars.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah, so we are going forward in time now with Queen's Hope. So,
but that's a very good way to put it. It does feel more like a setup. Like it's still a good story, but it's definitely more of a setup than it is a standalone book, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. So here is Queen's Hope, a little published summary. So she's adjusting to being a wartime center during the Clone Wars. Her secret husband, Anakin Skywalker, is off fighting the war and excels at being a wartime Jedi. In contrast, Padme gets the opportunity to see the casualties on the war-torn front lines. She is horrified. The stakes have never been higher for the galaxy or for the newly married couple. So it's talks about her handmaiden Saga steps into the role of Senator Amidala. See, it's weird that she still uses Amidala, Senator Amidala. She does use Senator Amidala.
I thought it did.
She does. So she's Padme Amidala, and so she obviously I guess it doesn't matter now that
she's done her
identity. Yeah. Okay, with Padme on a secret mission, her handmaiden Saga steps into the role of Senator Amidala, something no handmaiden has done for an extended period of time. While in the Senate, Saga is equally horrified by the things that are happening there. She comes to say the gut-wrenching decision as she realizes she cannot fight a war this way, not even for Padme. So there's a lot of Saga in this, it seems like, which I like. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot too. Now, I'm sorry, this is going to be another tangent.
Sure.
But is that the secret mission? Because we already talked about this book. Is that the secret mission that both Thrawn and Anakin went to rescue her from?
It could be. That's a very good point. Yes, that's because that happens during the Clone Wars, so that very much well could be a parallel story there. So I like where your head's at. I think that's probably what we're going to witness. Yeah. So you're talking about Thrawn Alliances, the second book.
Yes.
Which we have done a video on. So you can go back and listen and watch that. But yes, that happens during then. And that could be the mission you're talking about. Yep, absolutely.
So I'm sorry, while you're reading that my mind just immediately, it could be another secret mission because, we've seen in the Clone Wars, she's been a spy. She's gone on missions.
She's all over the place.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it was.
Yeah, I like that.
That's going to be good. That's going to be good. It'll be also really good to see Saga in the political hot seat because she hasn't really been there before. So
I know.
Used to that. That'll be great. And it'll be. I think that book will actually help us appreciate Queen's Shadow even more.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we'll be able to contrast each woman in the other environment.
Yes.
So
that's true.
It'll be interesting to compare the two and see if we have a greater appreciation for this book, which I'm sure we will, because once you have something to compare it to like that, you can see their strengths and weaknesses in both.
Yeah. Okay. Totally agree. Queen's Hope apparently right now is set to release on November 2nd of this year. So we will get that this year. And it'd be fun to do another, quick summary on that one when we get to it. And
absolutely.
Okay, so impact on, does this book change your perception or perspective of anything about Padme at all? Or
I think it reinforces a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It does have an impact. I think the biggest impact is that it just shows how much she cares about freeing slaves.
Yeah.
And it shows her the beginning of her journey on that. So to me, I think that's the biggest impact from this book. Also, I'm just loving Saga more and more. The more I read about her, the more I really, really like her a lot.
I do too. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think what's really neat, and I don't think this is the case, but I wish it would be. It'd be really cool if there was this discovery that she was the one that actually freed Anakin's mom.
Yes.
Right? I think that's her point, right? Is that she saw that slavery is still going on, and like you said, she wants to make a difference with that. And how neat would it have been for Anakin to find out that she was the one that was responsible for freeing her mom, and maybe she ended up being the one. I don't know.
In Attack of the Clones, don't we find out that Owen Lars bought her?
Yeah, I think Lars bought her and freed her. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think it would have been better if.
Yeah, that would have just been a cool, character moment with the two of them, knowing that he could never go back and do it because he was training, and as a Jedi, he had to kind of let go of that, right? So it would have been nice to have her do that, but of course, yeah, they chose a different path for that. But I like that. I think it's good. I don't know. I think besides that, I think it like you said, it adds a little more political aspects to Padme. But I think Queen's Peril does a lot more for her character.
Absolutely. Hands down, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but again, a good book. And to get ready for Queen's Hope, you got to read it. You got to read that. Got to read Queen's Peril. But either way, E.K. Johnston has done a good job with these. So, before we wrap, I just want to say the reason why we put this out also is because I had the pleasure of listening to the audiobook, who was actually read by Catherine Tabor, who plays Padme and many other voices in the Clone Wars series. Our next episode of Masters of the Order, which is coming out in a couple more days, I actually was able to sit down and interview Catherine Tabor. So
I'm so jealous. It's like, but it's amazing.
She is super cool. She loves Star Wars. She's a huge sci-fi fan all her life. And the biggest thing I will say that the biggest is great. And you'd appreciate this, Hannah, because if people don't know, Hannah is actually a producer in her own right. She works on a lot of TV shows and a lot of videos for us at the company we work with. So you'd appreciate this, that, I was able to kind of tie in what she said in the very beginning of the interview to the end, because she says at the very beginning, she says, when she was 7 years old, because I asked her about how she got into acting and stuff like that. She said when she was 7 years old, she dreamed of becoming a princess, but she found out that you either had to marry a prince or be kind of born into that. So she wasn't going to ever accomplish that. So she wanted to kind of get into TV and acting and stuff like that. From there, she was modeling first. But then, like I said, I brought it up in the end, you were a princess. You played Leia. You played, and ultimately you were a queen, right? So she's done a lot, and she's very humbled by the work she's done. So it's a great interview. We normally, these things, we try to be about 20, 25 minutes. We actually went about close to 40 minutes talking. She's great. So look for that coming soon. Actually coming in a couple days. After you listen to this, we'll drop that interview, and hope you guys enjoy that. So
it's awesome.
I'll send you a link, Hannah, right tonight, so you can watch it beforehand.
Please.
Okay. Okay. So overall rating, what do you think about this book?
Probably 3.5.
I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, it's
right down the middle, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right down the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're at 3 on that one. Okay. All right. That'll do it. So thanks for joining us on Queen's Shadow. We'll be back very shortly to continue more beyond the sagas. We are still continuing the Star Wars comic, Volume 1, the first series that came out right after A New Hope, and or it takes place right after A New Hope came out, of course, 2015. And of course, we're in the middle of the Aftermath series. So we got a couple more books to do there. And then, of course, we'll keep going with other Star Wars content, books, comics, and whatnot. So come back and check those out. Yeah, I had something else, but it kind of left me. So, oh, what I was going to say was if you want to purchase this book, in the description, there's a link right there, right to Amazon. Go click on it, go buy it. It's not that expensive. Come on, go get it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Hannah, as always, for joining me on these.
Thank you. Truly appreciate it.
Have a good week, everybody. Take care. May the Force be with you.